One of the most important aspects of investment or a startup is your corporate structure. And by the time you get to the stage where you're thinking about, I need external investment, right? I need more money to push my product or to push my business. At that point, you need to then start thinking about your corporate structure in terms of making sure that all your documents are in check, all your assessment, your regulatory framework. So I'm just going to be taking us through the things that we look out for within the corporate structure of the business. So I'm going to talk about your licensing. Yes, there are lots of business ideas out there. You need to understand the jurisdiction in which you're operating. We get a lot of decks, a lot of pitches where by the time you listen to them, you already know that you need a regulatory license or this business idea is not feasible in Nigeria because, you know, it's not, it's regulated, but right, the regulatory body is not issuing licensing. So before you even approach an investor, it also gives an idea into how well you've done your research, right? Before you approach an investor, you need to have done like the framework analysis, right? What jurisdiction are you operating in, and what are the licensing required for you to carry out those operations? And we understand, just like Damilola mentioned it during the masterclass, in Nigeria, especially in the fintech space, you have like businesses where you're leveraging the licensing of another company. I think we call it licensing as a service these days, right? Those are the things that you need to be upfront with the investor. So you're not giving off the impression of, oh, I have the license. You need the PSSP license. You don't have one. You cannot afford to get one. So you're leveraging an external or a third party, you know, to operate off of their license. When you're approaching your investor, those are the things that you want to be transparent about, right? To also give them an opinion of how they should come in to help you. Also, your shareholding structure. Damilola already was really explicit about, you know, your cap table, your structuring. It's a technical phase, right? You need to be able to have a clean share cap table, your shareholders, the information, their KYC documents, are they PEPs, do they have, what are their reputation? Those are the things that when we look at your table, we go in, look at the KYC documents you've provided, do our own research, legal research, then we're like, okay, so why is this person this way? Why is this, why do you have this person on your cap table? And there are situations where sometimes, especially when you're in the phase of fundraising, that we've seen situations where startups would, just because having somebody on your cap table opens other doors for you, right? So you have those sort of agreements where you're like, oh, I'm currently fundraising, and I know that, you know, your name carries a lot of weight. So if you come on, so you have like a staggered investment phase, right? So they don't have to give you cash at the moment, but you have their name so that when you're approaching other investors, it kind of gives you this trustworthy outlook or perception that if this person can invest in this company, you know. So those are the kind of situations that you want to be really, really transparent about. And just like Uloma said, when you're grouping your documents together, make it clean, right? So you have situations where you're conducting due diligence on a company and they've just hidden like document on that document and on that document, just in a bid to just hide some facts, right? It doesn't give off the it doesn't give off genuinity, right? You're being sneaky. Also, your corporate governance. This is like a really, really vital aspect. How have you structured your board seat, your board structure? How many people do you have on your board? Do you hold board meetings? Do you have your minutes of meetings? Because at the end of the day, if you're a startup company, you're looking for investors, one of the things that they will be looking at is, okay, so how do I get into the decision making of this company? So if you don't have a proper corporate structure, the investor is just going to like have the opinion, this is a one-man business, so he makes decision. But at the point where you feel like I need to get into that fundraising stage, then you need to set up a proper board structure. You have other policies, IT policies, the tech experts will delve into that. The other thing I would like to really pinpoint here is your loans and borrowings, like your historicals. So because you're a startup company, you probably have transactions that haven't been well documented. You just have gentleman agreement, but money has come in, or you're providing a service for someone, you're just not properly structured. At the time, again, when you're front-loading your document or you're speaking to investors, you need to make all those things transparent. Better to have a legal person come in and document all those arrangements for you, so that your liabilities are on the table for the investors to see. And it also kind of just creates this avenue. Investor knows what they're coming into. They know how to help you. They see where you're going, and they're like, okay, so for instance, we've had startup companies that their documents they don't have all the documents, but they were really transparent. Like, this is what we've done, this is what we're doing, these are the transactions, and we had to step outside to say, okay, these are the things that you need to get in order for us to make an investment. And so you have a way to structure the investment transaction document in a way that, okay, you call it preconditions to investment. So we'll give you certain percentage of the money, go get your documents in order, or go get this license, and then we'll dispatch the rest of the funds. So your corporate structure is like the basis off of what everything else flows from. You really have to, one, have it in place. You don't have to have all, but you must recognize the important things that you need: the regulatory framework, your registration. You have companies that you're operating in Nigeria, but your legal entity is in Delaware, but you don't have a Nigerian entity. Those are like rookie mistakes, right? You have to have legal backing. So it's important at the point. Let me just round up with this. At the point you want external investors to come into your business, go get legal advice from someone that has gone through, someone that understands venture capital fundraising, and let them just appraise your company, appraise your documents, do regulatory framework checks for you, help you structure your cap table, your shareholders agreement, all the angel investments that you've gotten, money from friends and family to support your business. Let them put it into documents, because once an external investor comes in and drops money, you can't then come back and say, oh, on this day I collected money from this person, but you didn't front load those documents. So it's a difficult conversation to have after investments.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's due diligence 101 in 5 minutes. And it's come from a lot of diligence work that we've done over the years. So we'll go to the next slide, please.